We are here in the Springer Mountain Farms kitchen with executive chef Kevin Korman. If you're not familiar with Chef Korman, you should be. He is the executive chef at the Edwin Hotel, home of two of Chattanooga's great new places, Whitebirds, as well as the Whiskey Thief. Chef,
thanks for having me.
Good to see you. Tell me what you're fixing up today.
So, Whitebird is kind of based around regional cooking.
Right.
So we really wanted to kind of coin this new term that we call progressive appellation. So it kind of is made up of three things. We focus on local farms and purveyors. We focus on a little bit of the history of the region. So we try to dive into the culture and the cooking methods and preservation methods of Appalachia, and just kind of revising Southern food.
All right, let's get to it.
So this is going to be kind of a version of Chicken and Dumplings. In the restaurant, we do it with both chicken and rabbit, but today we're going to just be using the wonderful Springer Mountain Farm chicken.
All right, where do we start?
So we're going to start here. We're going to make what's called Spaetzle, which is a German dumpling. This ties into what I was kind of mentioning about the history of Appalachia.
Little flour.
A little bit of flour. And just for fun, we're going to mix it up with some ground pretzel, because Spaetzle sounds funny.
It does, and that's why you're adding the Spaetzle part into it.
Exactly. So this is just a really simple batter. Water, flour, egg, and the ground pretzels. So we just kind of add a little bit of water to the consistency that I'm looking for, which is kind of like a thin batter.
Right.
Almost like pancake batter. And sometimes your hand is the best spoon.
I was wondering, I wasn't going to say anything about that, but.
This is one of those things. There's no reason that I could not put this in a mixer, but the German chef that taught me, his instructions verbatim were put it all in a bowl and just smack it.
There you
go.
And I guess it helps you feel the consistency and judge the feel of the batter a little
Exactly. So there's a few different ways to make this. I've seen a lot of people just put it into a colander and just press it right into boiling water. I've seen people put it on a cutting board and kind of cut it into the water. We go high-tech with this fancy little gadget right here, which is a Spaetzle maker.
A Spaetzle maker. If you had told me today I was going to see a Spaetzle maker at work, I would not have believed you. Wow.
And it just slides it across, makes these little dumplings, and basically we just boil them for a second until they get firmed up, and then we will put that in the dish.
I have never heard of a Spaetzle maker.
It's tricks of the trade.
All right, so that just boils for, or actually it doesn't boil. You're just going to
We're just going to basically poach it, yep. And
right.
Let them kind of firm up a little bit. So the next thing we're going to do is get our sauce ready. So this is the base of the dish. And it really is. It's a very home-style dish that we really didn't do much to the core recipe of it. We take a whole chicken, we poach the chicken. A lot of people like to use just chicken breast. I personally like to use all of the chicken. I think the chicken breast is great. I think the thigh has more texture and more fat and more flavor. So we like to use a little bit of everything in there. So all we're going to do here is just keep it really simple. Once we poach the chicken, we pull all the meat, which is what I have here. It's a little bit of all of the parts of the chicken for different textures and flavor. Carrots. We use kind of rainbow carrots, just a few different kinds. I'm going to do a little bit of oil and a little bit of butter. I do oil for the heat. It has a higher smoke point, so I can get it a little bit hotter. And butter is more for flavor and color. So we'll just melt that down a little bit. Once my Spaetzle is starting to float, that's when I know they're ready.
So you're going to take some of that and put it right in the pan.
Right in the pan. Super, super easy. So this is the poaching broth from the chicken. So we just, like I said, we just poach the chicken, let the chicken soak in the broth itself.
Right.
That kind of keeps the meat moist, but it also adds a little bit more flavor to the broth. So once this gets a little bit warmed up, we're just going to add a little bit of the broth in there. Let that come to a boil.
Nice aroma.
And I keep this really simple. The only things that I add that are a little bit unusual is mustard. That, to me, kind of ties back into the German cuisine.
What kind?
This is just Dijon mustard.
Okay.
This adds a little bit of acidity, a little bit of kind of a salty bite to it. Just kind of mix that in there.
Another little stir.
And then for a little bit of richness, we're going to add a little bit of that cream. Just a tablespoon or so. So most of the time when I come up with dishes, I like them to have balance. So what I mean by that is I want different textures. I want elements of chewy, soft, creamy, crunchy, but I also want to balance all of the flavors that hit your tongue. So I want salty, sour, bitter, acidic. I want to hit all of those notes. So I'm always thinking about that when we're building these dishes. This is a mix of parsley, chives, there's a little bit of dill and tarragon in there. We like our food to taste good. A little bit of salt.
A little bit of fresh ground pepper.
And then we're just going to kind of let that all simmer and thicken up a little bit.
Well, again, the restaurant is Whitebird's, and your upstairs is called the Whiskey Thief.
Whiskey Thief, yes. So Whitebird, we really try to pay homage to the history of Chattanooga. It's a funny story. So Whitebird is actually named after John Ross,
right,
who was the founder of Chattanooga per se.
And his Indian name was?
Yeah, his Cherokee name was Mysterious Little Whitebird. So when they told me that, I just kind of went down a rabbit hole and took the menu in that direction.
Chef, it's been fun. We look forward to having many more wonderful visits down at the Whitebird. You can find them at the new Edwin Hotel downtown, and you are open for both breakfast and lunch.
We open up at 7 a.m. and we close at 11 p.m.
And if you would like more information about Chef Kevin Korman and all of the other great dishes and the great services you can find at the Edwin Hotel, check them out on the website, which is?
It is whitebirdchattanooga.com.
Whitebirdchattanooga.com.
Or theedwin.com.
We are going to take a quick break. We are back with more right after this.